In this video, we're going to talk about dosing. I'm going to run you through what I dose to my tank. I'm dosing Reef Zlements 2-part and trace elements. Over the years, I found this the easiest and simplest way to replace alkalinity, calcium and magnesium, and all the trace elements back into my system. Once you start adding hard corals, you need to replace the elements that's used up by the corals when they grow. This is a 2-part system that I'm using at the moment. In 1, you have alkalinity and some trace elements, and in 2, you have calcium, magnesium and trace elements. These are so easy to use and they're brilliant because they're in the same ratio that your corals need. Your system will take up 1 and 2 in the same ratio, which will keep your alkalinity, calcium and magnesium all at the same levels that you need, which makes it super easy and great for beginners. These solutions are super strong, so what I do is mix it with RO water 50-50. Sometimes the alkalinity one needs a little bit of warm water just because sometimes it goes a bit solid. Now they're all mixed up, I have 5 litres of solution at 50% strength. I'm now going to put those into my dosing containers. And this is all you need to dose to be successful and have an SPS dominated tank. These work off your alkalinity consumption, so you have to do an alkalinity test, see how much your system uses and then dose accordingly, and you always dose 1 and 2 at the same ratio. This is dosing next level, so this is not an absolute need, this is an extra because all the trace elements are in 1 and 2, but I've done an ICP test and I'm always low on certain trace elements. So in this you dose part 1, part 2 and then all the trace elements. I also have a pH buffer for alkalinity, which I'll go through later. So instead of doing 1 weekly big dose of your trace elements, I'm going to mix them into a week's worth of RO water and then dose that daily. You can put that on a dosing pump or you can dose it by hand. It's just a way of diluting the solutions, and if you dose it daily, then the corals will have it daily instead of it being taken out by carbon or by the skimmer. All of these trace elements can't be mixed together in the same solution. Some of them are separate, so I put number 1 in this side here, and then number 2s all go in the second one. This is, like I say, this is extra dosing. This is not 100% needed. This is me just trying to get a little bit more extra colours out of my aquaporas. I've successfully kept really nice acros before without doing all of this, but I just want to add a little bit more of this to see if I can improve the colours a little bit more. And that's my weekly trace elements sorted, and I can dose that by hand daily. This is part 1, but this is pH plus, so this is like a pH buffer, and I've added this because I want to increase my pH, so I dose this in the mornings just to raise up my pH. It also has all the trace elements in it, so I dose this first thing in the morning. I'm also going to put a little bit in my top off container, so I'm going to put 20 mils of this solution because it's a pH buffer. I'm going to mix it in this little jug and put that straight into my ATO reservoir, and then it will be dosed to the tank constantly throughout the day and night, which will increase the pH, but also you have to make sure that you up the 2-part, the calcium part, by 20 mils as well. This is how I dose my trace elements to the system. So I do it by hand and I roughly put 100 ml into the tank. The solution's not strong because it's 99% RO water, but the trace elements are getting in there. Most of you guys that have been watching my videos know that my phosphates are really high, so I've started dosing this to my system just to reduce my phosphates. I'm dosing 1 ml a day. I'm only going to go slow with this. I'm going to put half the dose in the overflow, and then I'm going to put the other half of the dose straight into the skimmer. This binds with the phosphates and will get removed by the protein skimmer and the filter roller. My strontium is always really low on my ICP test as well, so I'm going to dose 10 ml of that. While filming, I always have to put the white light on, otherwise it's very blue. So I'm just going to put the blues back on now, and I'm also going to put my dosing containers back up to full. I'm really liking the Mobius app. It's very simple to use and quick, and everything's on there, which is good. I've got my lights on there, I've got my flow, my pumps, and now the dosing pump. So everything's in the same place. Now the blues are back on, I've put the orange filter on so you can see the colours of my corals. I have had a little bit of a rescape, but I'm going to do a video on that maybe next week. And I've also done a little bit of fragging. You can see I've got some extra frags there now. I've got some strawberry shortcake and the golden jaw dropper frags there as well. I also have loads of Rainbow Phoenix Montipora frags there. They're getting quite big now. Back to the dosing. I've always done 2-part dosing, and in the 2-part dosing, you've got your alkalinity, you've got your calcium, you've got magnesium, and the trace elements, and that's always worked perfectly for me. And the extra stuff that I do is only because I've done ICP tests and I know what I am low, and that's why I'm dosing that. I wouldn't recommend dosing anything that you can't test for, apart from a small amount of manganese if you have goniopora, and a little bit of iodine, as these elements come out of the water quite quickly, but obviously start very slow. Another thing to remember in the 2-part dosing is you have to test alkalinity. Let's say you start at 10 mils a day. After a week, your alkalinity is still coming down, then you have to add a little bit more. And then at the end of the week, test again. If it's high, then take a little bit off. It's really, really easy to do, but you have to make sure that you continually test alkalinity. An alkalinity test, a sulfate test, I can do in a minute. So that's what you've got to keep doing. And dose both solutions at the same rate. That's it for this video. If you've liked it, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, any questions, just whack them down into the comments and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching.